Hello everybody, my name is Aud and welcome back to the Aud Narrations channel. Today we're reading a story titled, Guy I'm Dating is Mad and Thinks I've Led Him On. As always, if you enjoy these videos and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button, that way you won't miss the latest upload. Alrighty, let's make a start. The post reads, My ex and I, 27 female, are getting divorced soon. We've been separated for a few months and it has sucked. I met this guy, 34 male, at a work adjacent thing, and we hit it off and we've been seeing each other for a couple months. He knows all about my recent past, and I've been upfront with him that I don't know what I'm looking for. My attitude has been that if it turns into a relationship, that's cool, but if it doesn't, that's fine too. We've been spending a lot of time together, and it's been great. He invited me to go on a trip with him, and I accepted. It was amazing. When we got back to his place from the 2-week trip, I started getting my things together to go home for a few days, because that was all I wanted to do. I could tell he was annoyed, but I assumed the high of the trip is over and he wanted to get me the fuck out of his house. I went to tell him bye and he asked about dinner tomorrow night, and I told him probably and just to text me. After I'd been home for a few hours, he texted me saying that he felt like I was pulling away and he didn't want to be a rebound. He accused me of leading him on. I told him that wasn't the case and that I just wanted to take care of things at my house and relax for a few days. I've been getting short texts back. One of my guy friends said that he really liked me and probably felt used and that he would have blocked me. Did I fuck up? A part of me feels like an insensitive idiot. TLDR, I wanted to spend time at my house alone after a 2-week trip and he is pissed at me. Weird one, that. I completely understand the guy's perspective, at least. Being that, you know, you've spent 2 weeks going on holiday with someone. From what it reads like, it sounds like he's sort of funded this trip. And obviously you get back and immediately fuck off. I can see how we'd feel maybe a little bit used. Maybe with a bit of context it'd be different, but I get it. Not necessarily saying this is the wrong thing to do though. I completely understand wanting to have your own space after having to run around after someone for 2 weeks, especially if there's someone new. We'll see. Let's have a look at what the comments say. Someone's left a comment saying, I don't know, I view taking a trip with a partner as a pretty big indicator of wanting to take things a bit more serious. There are like fun fling trips, and then there are like fall in love trips, and a 2-week trip together is very rarely not the fall in love trip. It just can't be, because you are likely spending a ton of sober time together doing basically honeymooner level stuff. With that said, as an outsider, I view the whole idea of having a trip when the ink isn't dried on your divorce as a case of moving way too fast, and the blame is on both him and you. Him because he got caught in his head way too deep on the relationship, and you because, well, who the hell takes a 2-week trip with a new flame within months of having a thing before the divorce is up? So yeah, he is right to say you led him on a little here, but he's also partially to blame for being so naive himself. I think I'd agree with that for the most part. Someone replied to this saying, to be fair to OP, this issue didn't arise because she told him after the trip she wasn't that into him. It arose because she didn't want to stay for dinner after spending 2 weeks on a trip with a man that she doesn't even live with. If you've been gone for 2 weeks, I think it's normal to prioritize going home and making sure that your house is in order, and also normal to want some time alone. Not rid of the person you were just on vacation with per se, just to be alone. Is it advisable to go on a 2-week trip with a man you're dating during a divorce? Maybe not. But it's not like people in relationships under far less complicated circumstances don't do exactly what she did here. I have a husband who I live with and don't eat dinner when he does, or hang out in the same half of the flat after traveling back from vacations. It's not because either of us are pulling away from our marriage, it's because the upshot of dedicated time together over days and weeks means very little alone time, which we both need and enjoy. Someone replied to the original comment, saying, just to add a nuance to this, there are different types of scenarios out there. Ink was dried on my divorce after a 3-year struggle because of my ex's pettiness. There was a trial that didn't need to happen, and he had not been mentally unwell. I was ready to date after 14 months of separation, and did so, fully informing prospective dates about my context, and even moved in with my new partner after 2. So I'm biased, but I think the moment of separation that allows someone space to be with themselves / work on themselves before moving to other stories is key, rather than the moment of finalizing the divorce. I think that's fair. In OP's case, we have no details about her divorce, but on the other hand, she did inform her boyfriend of her context and interest, and it looks like he got a bit wrapped up in the travel magic. Probably, yeah. Someone else left a comment saying, it sounds like a communication issue, or he really likes you and got into his head. Men have feelings too. He isn't handling it in the best way, and that would give me a pause though. I wouldn't date anyone right now if you're indifferent about relationships. Wait until you're divorced fully. Someone replied saying, if OP was transparent about being indifferent about relationships, and she clearly stated as such, then him getting stuck in his own head is entirely on him. We know everyone has emotions, but at any point he could have just been forthright with his developing feelings and asked when he already knew OP's history and feelings about a future relationship. She did her part, she's allowed to date and have fun, she's upfront and honest about her situation. The emotional volatility / immaturity of other people is not her responsibility. She's not a parent. Someone else replied to this, saying, also the fact that they just came back from a trip together, she has the right to relax away from everyone. I think I agree with that, definitely. I'm exactly the same kind of person, to be honest. Someone replied to this, saying, yeah, I thought that was a bit strange too. In my experience with my partner at the end of any trip, we're both eager to head back home by the end of it. I think it's just a matter of home base, where you can properly relax and feel comfortable in. Trips are great, lots of fun, lots of activity, but home base ideally is where you can decompress and unwind. Maybe it's more for people who happen to be more introverted, but I don't know. I thought it was a universal experience. Someone else left a comment saying, holy cow. Be single for a while during a divorce. You've been separated a few months and seeing this guy for a few months. Take a year and be single. Get some therapy. Someone replied saying, a 2-week trip seems like a pretty huge step in a relationship, where one person hopped straight from a marriage to the relationship just months before. Someone replied to this saying, seriously? Anyone else not feel like this is a weird red flag for someone that is in the process of being divorced to take a 2-week-long trip, which is longer than some people's honeymoons, with a new relationship? OP has replied saying, I went because I have no family, so no holiday plans. He wanted me to go, and I thought it would be fun, and it was. Someone else replied to OP saying, so you went on a 2-week-long trip since you had nothing else to do. Meanwhile, it sounds like he's really into you and saw it as something more. No wonder he feels used. There's a huge imbalance in this relationship. Nothing wrong with you needing alone time after a long trip, but I think what's really going on here is he's starting to sense that he's into you a lot more than you're into him. Just from that reply, that sounds exactly what's happened. OP's bored and was like, fuck it, entertain me. Bad vibes. Someone else left a comment saying, I think it's normal to want to go to your own place after a long trip, so my guess is more about the way you did it. Just leaving abruptly at the first chance you get and doing it maybe on dinner after a long trip is shitty. A 2-week trip is a couple thing, and you threw in his face that you certainly are not one. Given the situation, he's probably sensitive to behavior like this, and everything small you do like this will feel like you're using him indeed as a rebound. He probably likes you a lot, so every day you go undecided is painful for him, while you get the full couple treatment without committing. I don't think you've done anything wrong here, but any guy that is worth having would not put it with this dynamic for long. I think I'd agree with that for the most part. Someone replied saying, how does she throw it in his face? Taking time for yourself isn't a non-couple thing. She wanted to go home. Was she supposed to stay another day to make him feel okay about her leaving? OP, you're recently single, soon to be divorced. Don't fall into the trap of jumping directly into another relationship. Take some time for yourself. Take yourself to dinner. Just jump into another man that expects you to be on call. Someone replied saying, he specifically said having time to yourself is normal. He also specifically said he doesn't think OP did anything wrong. Seems you're looking for outrage. Stop projecting. Ooh, drama. In the comments section. Someone replied to that saying, no, I think it seems like you're looking for outrage. She was right to challenge the other person's phrasing. Based on OP's telling of the story, there was nothing thrown in his face. OP wanted to leave and was fully entitled to do so. New guy's reaction has very little to do with OP not going to dinner that night, and has everything to do with the new guy clearly being subconsciously aware that OP is not actually ready for a commitment and being preemptively insecure. Which he should be, because OP isn't ready for a commitment and shouldn't be going on a 2-week vacation with some new boy toy. OP definitely is stringing this guy along, albeit somewhat accidentally, but ultimately it being accidental doesn't really matter. She should have known better than to go on this trip. Nonetheless, she was fully entitled to a space post trip, and wanting that alone time is not throwing it in the new guy's face, and thus their response was warranted and reasonable for advancing the dialogue. Someone else left a comment saying, if he's acting like that already and accusing you without actual facts, imagine how he'll be if you were in a relationship with him. I had a guy do something similar and I had to block him because eventually I don't have to deal with anyone's delusions. Wait, it also matters how long you two have been having that fling. Thinking emoji. One final comment. Someone left a comment saying, so, I get the feeling he believes the relationship is more serious than you intended. There's obviously a lack of communication in your dynamic since you mentioned in a comment, I assumed he didn't want a relationship. Making assumptions with other people that we are being intimate and vacationing with is exactly how we end up in sticky situations and hurt feelings, 100%. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you didn't mean any harm and that you genuinely enjoy hanging out with this man. But you need to figure out what exactly your end goal is with him and communicate that directly. This whole, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it doesn't mentality is a cop-out for, I just want to enjoy this person's time until I don't. And that's not fair to him if he wants a deeper relationship and more time with you. Also, no one should make you feel bad choosing to return to your home. If you communicated that you're tired and you'll reach out after you've recharged, I don't see the problem. But again, I think it's since you both have different views about your current relationship. He's confused and responding immaturely. Both of you have a lot to talk about, and I wish you the best of luck. I think that's a pretty complete answer at the end. Yeah, I think I'd agree for the most part. Right. What do you think OP should do? What would you have done in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure to hit the subscribe button. That way you won't miss the latest upload. Alrighty, we'll have to finish there. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.